Here's what you can expect in the Labour news. Latest study finds over 6,000 people living on the streets of Cape Town. NUMSA deadlocks with RAF during wage talks. Bitter harvest, farm evictions sow the seeds of discontent. US Congress passes a $15 per hour minimum wage law. And the government of Kazakhstan is cracking down on independent trade unions. For all this and more, stay tuned. Welcome back. And now for the Labour news. A study that was concluded in November 2018 showed that in Cape Town, 6,175 people stayed in shelters and on the streets. The City of Cape Town's Community Services and Health Unit reported that 2,084 of the 6,175 homeless people had access to shelter spaces and promised that it was planning to provide more. The National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa will be meeting with the Road Accident Fund at the Commission for Conciliation, Mediation and Arbitration for Wage Talks. NUMSA spokesperson Pakamele Shlubi has more on this.
The National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa has deadlocked at the Road Accident Fund. We met the employer on Thursday under the auspices of the CCMA for wage talks. As NUMSA, were demanding a 9% increase and a 13th check. Initially, the employer had made an offer of 7%, but yesterday they put it on record that they are withdrawing the offer that they put on the table. They are now offering 0%, and they also reject the demand for a 13th check. It is outrageous that RAF is denying workers an increase and offering a 0% increase, and at the same time is also rejecting the demand of a 13th.
Farm workers and farm dwellers from Bestwyk Farm in Prince Alfred's Hamlet near Ceres continue to face legal evictions. A professor at the Institute for Poverty, Land and Agrarian Studies at the University of the Western Cape, Ruth Hall, estimated that in the first decade of democracy, almost 940,000 people were forcibly evicted from farms. On the 23rd of March, in the farming community of Citrusdal, President Cyril Ramaphosa promised that his party would fight against evictions, but has since not done so. Co-director of Women on Farms project, Carmen Lowe explains more about the crisis of farm worker family evictions.
Because once you're evicted from a place where there's lots of farms close to employment, to an urban settlement where there's no public transport to farms, where you live in an overcrowded informal settlement. It's a new form of forced removals that are legislated forced removals, because that is what is happening, and it's happening on a massive scale, because it's not only one family, it's a farm with 20, 25, 30 families that are forcefully removed, and the state security forces, the police, the sheriff, private security are used to enact that. And we cannot, when we envisioned the new South Africa, that was not part of our dream, that was not part of our vision.
Recently, the progressive representatives in the United States Congress were joined by workers, business owners and labor rights advocates in celebrating the historic passage of the Raise the Wage Act, aimed at guaranteeing all American workers a minimum wage of $15 per hour. The new minimum wage law is projected to help lift over 10 million people out of poverty and raise monthly earnings of about 27 million US workers to over $3,000 or 40,000 Rand per month. And finally, the government of Kazakhstan is cracking down on independent trade unions. This has gone on now for several years. Erlan Baltabey is the leader of the Industrial Trade Union of the Fuel and Energy Workers, known as decent work. His trade union was dissolved by a decision of the court. Criminal proceedings against Airline began 10 months ago. On 17 July this year, he was sentenced to 7 years in prison. He was also given a 7-year ban on any public activity. Airline's only crime was to engage in trade union activity and to speak out in defense of other jailed trade union leaders. And that is the end of this week's Labour News, or rather the seasonal Labour News. I'm Doreen Nkwazi. Till next time, go well.